Well, the Winter Games are underway in Sochi, Russia, but more than we have seen probably in any recent Olympics. The focus may be more on the end of the games than on the games themselves. There are all kinds of security worries, and today, as the opening ceremonies were underway, a man tried to hijack a plane from the Ukraine to Sochi. The plane was diverted to Turkey. Now, the would-be hijacker's in custody. He did not, in fact, have a bomb. And it's not clear right now if he was actually even trying to terrorize the games or if there was some other explanation for his actions. And that is far from the only problem getting attention in Sochi. Brown water that you're not supposed to let near your face, toilets jammed 2 by 2 in certain places, abandoned dogs all over the city. They're being hunted and killed. Snow courses considered by some too dangerous to use. And of course, you have the anti-gay laws, and it makes you wonder, how does a dictator like Putin let so much go so wrong with his Olympics that were as much a vanity play as anything else? And for more on Sochi and the Olympics past, we're very pleased to be joined right now by Doug Wilson. Doug, producer on ABC's Olympics coverage from '64 to '88. You don't get that jacket for nothing. And he's also the author of a new book, looking back on his Olympic and other TV sports experiences. The World Was Our Stage, spanning the globe with ABC Sports. And we're going to get into, in the following segment, some of those experiences. But give an idea, pull the curtain back for us, in the ramp up to the games. How soon, Doug, do you know when you're there on the ground that this is going to be a great games or this thing is going to be Headache City?
I think that when the production people, and I have to talk from a production because that was my experience, you are so keyed up. Every new games is going to be the best one ever. You know, it's like any game you're going to win. Because you hope you walk away as a winner, just like the athletes. You know, the chemistry in you, the butterflies, you're no different than the athletes that are about to compete. There are feelings that sometimes are shattered. And I'm obviously thinking of what happened in Munich in 1972, because the first week was euphoric. We had the greatest experience. We'd made television history. I was involved with producing, directing, covering the gymnastics competition. Olga Korbut became a household word overnight. We were celebrating. We had champagne at the end of the week.
People forget the first week of those games.
Oh, it was euphoric. The symbol of the games, one of them was a dove of peace. The police they didn't have the dark gray German, you know, thing. They were given pastel uniforms, soft yellows, soft blues. There were banners off of buildings. It was just wonderful. And you know, it's ironic that the Germans at the time, I believe, were hoping that the last vestiges, the last cloud of Nazism that still maybe hung over in some people's minds would be blown away by the games. And then, as McKay said, all hell broke loose.
Yeah. You know, I wonder, when you're putting together the production, because obviously for all of us, we're seeing it through the prism of what, in this case, NBC, and for many years when you did it, ABC, do you set out to say that the games and the host city is the primary narrative, or is it that you'll identify 4 or 5 stars and events that will unfold and they'll be the star of the games? Because in many ways, you guys make the Olympic experience for the world other than the people there on the ground. Is it the events and the stars, or is it the actual host city and the games themselves?
Richard, great question. All of the above. All of the above. When you're going into the games, yes, from an American television point of view, of course, there's the emphasis on who's going to be the big stars, who's everybody going to root for, of course. But as time goes on, and this is what I love about the American people, they will get just as enthusiastic about a foreign competitor. I mean, look at, anybody remember Franz Klammer coming down the downhill? Everybody's, how about Olga Korbut? How about Nadia Comaneci? Some of these, everybody identified with them.
Or the Jamaican bobsled team.
Exactly. Eddie the Eagle, the English, right? All those guys. And so when you're going into the games, and the research is huge. I mean,
let's be honest. So let's say you were producing the games now. the games we're looking for problems at this point. Not that you got to look too hard,
Right.
but you're looking for problems of the humanitarianism to the venues that seem to be putting together as the games are going on, to the security risks, to the to all the brown waters and the yogurt that's not allowed in, to Putin now being this big specter over the games and the totalitarianism. They overshadow everything. You can't get around that as the broadcaster, right?
You can't. You can't. And there was a man named Roone Arledge.
Sure.
Okay, came into the sports world, became head of ABC News
Father
and
of
so
Monday
forth.
Night Football, yep.
There you go. Exactly. His original approach, he got his job originally by writing a paper about how you go to the sports event and you're not going to just look anymore in and who wins and loses the game. You're going to capture the ambiance of the whole experience. And I think that's what you're talking about, the whole experience. Now, he also had a journalistic background. He went to Columbia, and he was that perspective, and I think he always wanted to go into news eventually. But so in that sense, the games, what's happening politically, what's happening socially, all those other stories are part of what you're covering. Costas has to do.
Are there limits to what you can or what you could do when you were with ABC in terms of covering? Because it was a smaller news perspective back then. There weren't 14 channels covering everything. Were you limited by the IOC as to what you could cover or couldn't?
Oh no, I don't think that. No, Andrew, I don't think that there was ever anything. Arledge wouldn't have stood for that. Especially after you spent
And after the Munich games,
put a B in front of the first word instead of an
Munich
M.
games, Jim McKay was the voice of the world.
Absolutely, absolutely was. And,
we got to go to break. When we come back, I want to talk with Doug about his experience of the games. But I'm curious around the table, are you going to watch the opening ceremonies tonight? And are you going to watch like you would any games, or to see if they're train wrecks?
Do I have to answer now?
Yes, you do, because they already taped it for you. Yeah.
I probably will fall asleep. I will try to watch.
It's exciting.
Because I know it, but my younger son is really excited about
Yeah.
it, and so I feel like I should watch. I remember watching the games when I was younger, and it was a big deal, and I feel like in my mind it's gotten to be less of a big deal, but maybe it's just because I'm old and tired.
Well, Dominic,
I don't know.
many people don't know, but Dominic both luges and does curling. But no, Dominic, you going to watch?
I'm not really an opening ceremony type of guy. I may watch for a little bit.
Oh, you have a sensitive side, Andrew.
I don't know. If there's any counter programming on, then maybe not. But
You've already been following to see that a snowflake didn't open up into a ring.
I get a news feed all day long. I can't avoid it, actually.
You can't let it go. You're going to
Richard,
watch, right?
you just did a segment on addiction.
On that note here, when we come back, we'll go to Olympics past, the tragedies, but also some of the highlights here from a man who covered 10 Olympics. More with Doug after this.